Hey everyone, this is Coach Parker with CoachParker.org. How are you guys today? Today we're going to talk about coaching fundamentals. I've coached a lot of Pro Bowls or All-Star games at the end of the season, and so many times I get junior and senior level players, 10, 11, 12-year-old players that just have never been coached well, because when we ask them things and we get them in a stance or we have them do certain techniques and really what I consider basic fundamentals, they look at us like a deer in the headlights. So today, this is another series in the KYA Coaching Clinic Training Series that we give to new KYA coaches. We're going to talk about what coaches should be doing during their practices and coaching, which fundamentals, at least what I consider the fundamentals. And like Tony Dungy says here, a team that executes the fundamentals is probably going to wind up doing pretty well. So let's get right into it here, and let's see what we got. So let me get three off here. My fundamental coaching goals really for pretty much any level, and in these we've been thinking about putting a curriculum together for what we would teach our 5 and 6 year old group, or 7 and 8, 8 and 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, and 12-year-old groups. But really, what we're looking for from coaches is to teach those basic rules of football. What's offense, defense? What's a touchdown? Those basic rules. What's a holding call? And in each age group, you can progress up and teach more of these basic rules. But, we really expect when we get a junior player and he's been in the program for about 3 years, we expect some of these base rules to have been taught him. So you guys need to start making sure that players know, hey, you can push somebody out of bounds, and that's kind of like a tackle, because I don't know how many senior players I get, and it's like, hey, you can push somebody out of bounds, and the play's over, and they look at you like, oh, that's the first time anybody's ever told me that. So, make sure that some of these rule things are going on. The other thing that I expect is like these base position names and basic responsibilities. What's a nose guard? What's a center? What's an offensive guard? What's a linebacker? It amazes me every time I do coaching interviews and our tryouts, and I ask a player, well, what position did you play? And they're like, I played, I don't know. I think it was somewhere on the line. Well, I'm glad that they know. And this isn't like a 7-year-old. I just talked to 12-year-olds here 2 days ago or 3 days ago. It's amazing to me that they do not know their position names, and so, and really some of the even basics responsibilities. So that's kind of a big thing to me. The other thing is a lot of coaches at younger levels, and I understand at my levels you might not get into a whole numbering system, but I like to teach it. I like to start off early, the first practice, and do the basic offensive whole numbering system. I do have some plays that I call a specific name on offense, and there's not a whole number there. But when we're in practice, we do call the whole numbering system of that play and the name, so there's both there. Because it's a disservice to the players if you never teach this whole numbering system and they get to high school and they don't really understand that, the first letter in the play call, say, of a 26 lead, it's the 2 back going through the 6 hole, and it's a lead block by, one of the backs. It just helps if you, I even think in Madden, they have these same kind of whole numbering systems. So I really expect, and I know we at KYA football really expect these coaches to be to be developing their whole numbering system so it can be passed on to each coach. Let's get some more going on here. The same thing with the defensive gap system, A, B, C, D. You don't have to get into the technique. This is a 7-eye or 5-eye or whatever. But we at least want, this is A gap, this is B gap, this is C gap, D gap, E gap kind of thing, and what's going on there. If I use offensive whole numbering system as my technique system. So if you're just teaching something so they know how to move around on the defensive line, at least introduce them that there's that concept. Just don't totally forget it and not even talk about it. We get a lot of complaints from the middle school coaches here in Keller that a lot of times these linemen get up there and they can't get in a proper football stance. We definitely, each season you need to be teaching in the first, second, third, or fourth practice, a 3-point and a 4-point stance and a 2-point stance and what that means and how to get in and get out of those. So they have some concepts of that when they get to middle school and high school. Now, you see, all these things, everybody says, well, I want to run the spread offense so they understand what's going on in high school. If you just take a look at the 5 things that I've talked about, those are the base things you should be teaching for kids when they get to high school. You don't have to worry about what offense or defensive scheme you're using. Just teach them these basics. And then that will lead on into what they're going to learn into high school. I didn't even play my position that I played at Pee Wee football. When I got to high school, I played linebacker and fullback. I wasn't playing guard and tackle like I was at Pee Wee because I was weight restricted. So take a look at some of those things. So again, proper stance, really want that to be worked on at every practice. And then, Lombardi says, these next 2, all of football really is just blocking and tackling. And we see so many coaches that don't spend any time with their offensive line or defense. Head coaches are just over working with their 4 or 5 skilled backs and running plays on air, and they got some dad over who's never coached before basically doing some simple little blocking drills or tackling drills with their linemen. Look, your linemen are usually the majority of the football players on your team. If you get them up to speed, because you're only good as your weakest link, you got a really good team. So what I learned a long time ago, and this is one of the reasons why I became the lineman coach and the defensive coach as a head coach, is because that's where you win football games. It's not so much the running backs. And I, definitely put my 2 cents into what I want the offensive coordinator to, which plays to run and what I want to do there. But blocking and tackling is where the whole game really is. You can take some mediocre backs, which we've taken some average backs before and got to a Super Bowl undefeated. You can if you've got a great offensive line and you're doing blocking rules. What's so funny to me is when I get, gap on down and gap on linebacker are pretty much base rules that a lot of people have been using now for probably 10 years. And it amazes me how many linemen I get, because our league, you can only freeze 6, and so you pretty much get a new team every season through a draft process. How many kids don't know what God blocking is or GOD or don't even have any rule? Sometimes I get them, they don't know that, but they know another name. And they've never had rule blocking. We've got like 8 rules on our blocking rule set. The same thing goes with tackling. Right now you've got to be teaching heads-up tackling or Seahawk tackling, or definitely keeping your head out of tackling. I still see some kids have not gone over keeping your head out of the tackle. So these are some of the base right here, fundamentals we expect. Let's see, passing, catching. They just, they need to know sort of how to pass. I get a lot of kids, even though you've got all these kids on your team, I get a lot of linemen that, have never been taught really how to throw. Usually before practices in the first couple of weeks, I'll sit out there and teach a lot of my linemen are kids that have never passed before, just some basics on how to throw the football. Maybe it's not passing per se, but it's like, how do you throw the football? A lot of kids, like maybe we weren't as kids where we would play football in the streets, they're not doing that. So at least teach some of these kids how to throw the football. And the same things goes with catching, the base catching, the diamond, see the ball through the hands, look at the laces as it hits you and the white. So those are the kind of things that you should talk about. The other thing is just, good gosh, how to run, how to get a takeoff. If you've got some of those kids, there are so many good running books on how to run in proper form or get them into track. If you've got a couple of kids that just don't have good form, there's so many outside training things going on right now. So make sure you're talking to your kids about that. Here it is. This is my big point: how to use out of bounds. Kicking game fundamentals. Oh my gosh, there are so many new coaches and rookie coaches that don't focus on special teams in the kicking game. You can win and lose games, especially against other really good teams in your kicking games. I mean, I really believe in special teams. So make sure that you've got some focus on that. And that doesn't mean to spend 2 hours on kicking game. That means to spend about 30 to 40 minutes a week. And then if your kicker before practice, get him kicking, and some of your hands guys do some drills on that. But you need some focus on that. This is another one. I get, how to run with the football, good gosh, how to take a handoff. These are some fundamentals that need to be taught, definitely at some higher levels. What elbows up that points to the quarterback when you take the football? What's the 6-point drill to how to hold the football, and those sort of things. Probably a big one here, sportsmanship. And it's probably because most coaches, when they get on the football field, lose themselves in the competition and really pretty much become dingleberries. I was a commissioner last year and actually stopped being commissioner because I had what I thought was a friend as a coach, and we had a situation, and he basically has railed me for 3 or 4 months now for that situation when he probably should have been thrown out of the game. So sportsmanship is a really big issue here and needs to be addressed by coaches. You've got to be a role model, and you need to teach your kids that good sportsmanship is the way to go. And really, teaching good sportsmanship is not like, hey, we need to take out the quarterback on the first play. I see so many coaches still doing that, and that's not what we're looking for at KYA. And with sportsmanship, they definitely need to know how to win, and they need to learn from their losses. I mean, not every team could win every game, and not every team is going to win. Not every. Well, you know what I mean there. So you guys need to be humble when you win, and also understandable, and teach them that not everybody's going to win every game, and not just bitch at your youth football players and tell them how they lost, and because that your anger and blaming them is going to come off in bad sportsmanship, and they're going to blame everybody but themselves that they didn't do right. So make sure you teach your kids how to win and learn from losses, and not use that as an opportunity to just celebrate or blame people, but actually teach them some life lessons from that. Oh my goodness. This might be number one in some teams, but you definitely need to work on your center quarterback exchange from day one. You need to find a center and your quarterbacks and start snapping. It's amazing how many kids we get at a senior level that have only taken a shotgun, that only have been under center or only have been under shotgun for several years. They need to know both when they get to high school and junior high. They need to be able to take a snap under center, and they also need to be able to take a snap in shotgun. So you should be working on both, depending on what system they're going to get to. But just like in the NFL, and I see so many high school coaches, they're just teaching shotgun. Look at the NFL. They're under center and they're in shotgun. I don't know why colleges and high schools, the ones have decided that they should only snap in a shotgun snap. That we at KYA, because some of us run shotgun and some of us don't, we need everybody teaching both. Definitely under center, because right now most teams are running offenses, and so make sure you're teaching both under center and not under center snaps, quarterback exchange. The other thing with fundamentals is, look, I think I got this from a book on youth sports. It's one that's on a bibliography in a book I'm going to put out here soon. He says it's IDEA: introduce, demonstrate, explain, and attend. And I guess that means ask them to coach the fundamental there. But my big deal is demonstrate. I like to introduce what's going on, and then I personally will demonstrate what I'm asking the kids to do and explain it. And then a lot of times, once we get comfortable with it, I'll ask one of the leaders on our team to actually coach the idea too. So you should be looking at that. Always do progression teaching, break down in simple steps. Don't try to teach something all at once. And remember to try to say it 3 or 4 different ways, not the same way every time, because some people learn different. Sometimes you might have to draw it up for kids. So make sure you're teaching multiple ways the same thing. And use simple words, not football terms, especially at younger ages. Some things that we talk about we take for granted because we already know those. But a lot of kids may not know certain football terms because they've never been exposed to those. So younger and more inexperienced levels, you may actually have to explain it and then add the term to it so they understand what's going on there. So those are some basic fundamental coaching goals that we're really looking for from our coaches. And like Lombardi said, really football comes down to blocking and tackling. And I see a lot of coaches not focused, one, on their linemen and how to block and or how to tackle. They spend a lot of time on offense. And look, you can win games with a great offense, but to win in the playoffs and to win in a Super Bowl and championship game, it comes down to blocking and tackling, and I'm going to add in there special teams. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel for more free coaching videos. Like the video if you liked it. Please leave me a comment. That gets me very motivated to do more free videos. Share my videos. Very helpful for me to get more traffic, and that supports my store. My channel. You can shop my store with the link at the bottom and find out what I use on the football field. And I've actually added. I actually build PCs too, if you're into that. Some of the electronic equipment that I've been using to do these videos. You can visit my blog at coachparker.org. There's a donate button there. I also got a defensive book out that's coming out soon, and you can get an advanced copy of that for $15 there. But once again, thanks for watching. Appreciate all your support. And remember, play for fun, and winning is funner. This is Coach Parker with coachparker.org, signing off. Ciao.